Хөрхөн охид trap сонсон. Trap сонсон, trap донсон. Түүний сонсдог хөгжим дур булаан. Дагаж дуулан дур булаа мууруулаа.
So, welcome to another rendition of the podcast. I am here once again, always again, and brought to you by Black Belt CBD. If you're into CBD products or you want to try CBD products, especially if you're into MMA or if you're an everyday person, it's good for you too. Go to blackbeltcbdproducts.com. Use promo code ThePodcast25. They have everything from tonics to roll-ons. Anything you need or want, they have. So please, they ship within North America. And again, it's 25% off, so you can't go wrong there. And if you're a woman that so happens to be listening to the show today, thank you very much. And go to poppyapparel.com and use promo code ThePodcast. You'll get 10% off. They have everything a woman needs or wants from top to bottom that they like to shop for online. They ship worldwide, and it's free shipping if you spend more than $50. And lastly, if you're into collectibles, or you're a nerd or you're a geek or one of those, and you like to collect signed autographs, well, I guess every autograph is signed, that's pretty redundant, but signed memorabilia is what I meant to say. Collectibles, cards, comic books, anything you need or want, they have it there. They update daily. Go to firstrow.ca. It's First Row Collectibles. They are a Canadian company, so everything you see there is in Canadian dollars, so it'll be cheaper for all you American listeners, and they ship worldwide. Use promo code ThePodcast20, and you'll get 20% off. Go support the show on all the major platforms. Subscribe, rate, review. It's really important. It helps me out. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. So, this week it's pretty weird because I'm talking to an American from the States while he's in Canada and I'm a Canadian. So this is a bit weird and this is a first for me. But this week's guest...
And it's Friday. It's like Freaky Friday, too.
You know what? It's true because I'm in where you reside in right now in LA, and you're in Edmonton, where I've never been, and you've been probably more times than I could count from now. But before we get to all that, let me introduce this week's guest. You might have seen him on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. He was a finalist on Last Comic Standing. He co-hosts the Daddy Issues podcast and hosts his own MMA Roasted podcast. Stand-up comedian, and in my opinion, one of the funniest people alive, Mr. Adam Hunter.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. Thank you. It's good to be here.
No, thank you. We finally get to do this. I've been breaking your balls for how long now?
I know. It's just like I have a new baby. When you have a baby, it's like, it's crazy. Do you have any kids?
No, don't have any, don't want any.
Wait till you have a kid. It's just like everything you thought was a priority is no longer a priority. It's just about the baby. It's all about the baby.
Well,
so, at least now, from 0 to 1. I think when it's a little older, it'll be different.
Well, I'll never know because I don't know if it cut off, but I said I don't want kids. Me and my wife are good. We've been together almost 20 years now, and we don't want any. We're good.
Wow. That beautiful wife of yours.
Thank you.
You seem very sweet and like a little bit very like a little intense, but nice, intense, and very pretty woman.
Well, that's what you get in the South American, right? You get that Latina heat, as they say.
Yes, that's true.
But that's funny because I saw you live, and that's how we saw each other. And then you needed to fly out to Edmonton, and that's how we're doing this now, pretty much from our hotel rooms. And seeing you live, okay, I've obviously caught your stand-up routine before and seen and heard your shit. And I've been begging for you to come to Toronto for the longest time. I don't think you've ever performed in Toronto, right?
No, never.
Well, that's crazy. So I finally got to see you live at the Dime Bar, the infamous Dime Bar that you always hear about on the MMA Roasted podcast. And it was a blast. It was just comic after comic. Obviously, it's you guys trying out new shit and this and that, but it was still on the level where even if I paid, I still would have been satisfied. You know what I mean? I think everybody should go do it if you're in LA, honestly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, man. And Uncle Creepy was there too.
Yes, that was interesting. He wasn't shit, but at the same time, again, how many times has he performed?
It's got to be like his fifth time or something.
Oh, okay.
Brand new at it.
But you know what? For a guy who's gone up there only 5 times, you could tell he's going to be more of a story-driven, I guess, comic if he continues to go down that road. But if he gets his shit together, he could have some good material, especially like being inside the UFC, because that was sort of, I don't want to reveal everything he talks about, but that was sort of what he was talking about, right? Him being in the UFC and what if.
But he's also very real. He's a very real guy. He talks about being, a drug addict and this and that. In fact, there was a lesbian comic that wanted to bang him.
Yes.
On the show.
Well, if you can convert a lesbian, then you got something going, right?
I'm not really sure how much of a lesbian that woman was. She says like she's been married twice, something to men. I don't know if she's a lesbian or she's just sick of men. I'm not really sure what the deal is there. But yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, the first time I ever saw you was on Last Comic Standing. How was that whole experience? And actually, what season were you on? I don't even remember.
I was on season 6.
Okay.
The winner, Eliza Schlesinger, won that season.
Right.
It was a weird experience because I was on it twice before.
Oh.
And what had happened was I got to like the next round, and they're like, "You guys are going to Hollywood." And then I'm celebrating. I'm calling my dad. I'm in tears.
Right.
And then they came back and say, "Hey, just because we told you that you were going on doesn't mean you're actually moving on." Like, well,
wow.
But the judges just told us that we were the funniest ones, and like, yeah, well. So then twice they called me and said, "You're no longer on the show." Like after they had told me I was on the show.
Right.
But like who was managing who and who the producers thought would make good ratings. So then I was like, the third time they did that to me, they told me I was off the show, and then they called me and said, "Oh, you're back on the show." And what happened was I was like, okay, they're not going for me. They're not buying like me. You know, maybe I'm too boring. I'm not interesting enough. I'm a nice person. I'm just not really like, not really cocky. But if I put a character on, then they'll take me. If I'm like the bad guy on the show. Right. So when I was getting through, I was like talking like I'm the greatest comic ever. No one can beat me. All these comics suck. And then they took me right to the front of the line. But then when I was in the house, I was like, I don't want to be known as the biggest asshole in the world. So I kind of flipped the dialogue on them, and every time that they talked to me, I was like, yeah, I'm all about just helping people, and I work with kids who have cancer, and my mother left when I was 3, just giving them like a sob story, but it was not the narrative that they had already chosen. So then they pretty much stopped talking to me.
Wow.
And then they wouldn't even give me interviews, but nobody was picking me to go against. So I kept moving on, and at the time I was so broke that like I knew that like checks were bouncing while I was in the house because I wasn't at home paying them.
Right.
And, everyone was thinking about like you win $100,000 or whatever the money was. I was just trying to get to the next episode so I can get that like $1,200 to pay like my rent, and then when they edited it, they were kind of being funny. Like there was one time they were like, because everything we had to do in the house was nothing to do with stand-up comedy. Like we're living in a house. It's like me, Paul Foote, Eliza, Ron G, Jeff Dye, this guy Marcus, and then they would have us like do like so like today's challenge is we're gonna go to the Playboy Mansion and read kids' books to the playmates. Now, okay, but what does this have to do with stand-up comedy?
Right.
And the next, like we're gonna have a Yo Mama contest in a boxing ring where Jamie Kennedy was the judge. I'm like, okay, that's not really comedy either. And then the third one was like, we're gonna build props at a Home Depot with Carrot Top, and then all our jokes have to have props in them. Right. So what we were being judged on, not stand-up comedy. So then finally, when they were like, okay, you guys are all performing next week, and I was like, yes, finally. I thought I was a fucking comic, not a, And then when I saw it on TV, they were like, you're all performing, and you see, they took another shot of me like this. Okay. And I put my hands in my head, and then they're like, and then someone else cut to like, yeah, Adam was scared shitless. Like, that was not even remotely close to what had happened.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that, but look, I mean, it got me national exposure, and I was kind of a feature co-headliner before that, and since then I've never featured except for when I went out with Russell Peters. It was the only time I ever featured after that. So it was one of those things where it was like, it took me to it was the best thing for my career, but it wasn't, it was a little frustrating as far as like living in a house with 12 comics, and then I couldn't sleep very well, and then I decided to go off my antidepressants the week before because I thought maybe I'd make for better TV, and that was a mistake as well.
Oh,
something
my God.
that I've done because I was very irritable.
Right.
So anyway, it was good.
Well, what's one thing that the viewers don't know that happened behind the scenes?
There was they cut to me there was one time where it was like a Yo Mama contest, and I clearly won.
Okay.
but I had to go against this sketch duo, and they were just saying like positive things, like your mom is very pretty. So it was sort of like but I won. But I was like annoyed, and then afterwards I'm being interviewed, and they're like, yeah, I'm happy to do this because I've been screwed over a lot in my career, especially by this show. And then they cut out me saying by this show.
Oh, shit. Yeah, of course. That kind of makes sense, though.
And said that, I go, it doesn't matter if I won or not because you're all going to edit it the way you're going to. And then, like, 8 producers came over to me and were like, you go, no, that's not the way that we work and this and that. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Wow. So you performed on many late shows like Jay Leno, Conan, Jimmy Kimmel. Which one was your favorite? And I have to know, because I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. And I don't know if you remember that episode when they were, I don't know if it was the Tonight Show or the Late Show, where George was backstage and was fumbling around and causing all kinds of shit. Do you remember that episode?
No.
Well, anyways, I just want to know, did anything happen to you, like an oh fuck moment? Did you spill some coffee on you before going out? Was there something, did you forget your line, like anything like that?
Yeah, really, the first time I did it, I was sweating so much. I found out the day before that I was going to... And when I got there, my armpits were sweating. And I know on Last Comic, my arms were sweating so much that when I raised my hand, you just saw huge pit stains. And it was so embarrassing, you know? So this time, they blow-dried my armpits before I got on. They took off my shirt, blow-dried it. And then when I put my shirt back on, I missed a button.
Oh, no.
So, and if people were watching it, they were like, you don't even know how to button your shirt? So that was one time. And then another time was I was running, it was the day of the Tonight Show, and they called me like 3 hours before. They were like, they couldn't clear the Michael Jackson music that they wanted the band ready. They needed a comic to run 3 minutes, and they were going to be off the air in 2 weeks anyway, like permanently. Right. They didn't even run my set. So normally they go by every joke. And I'm like, I don't even know if I could even do these jokes on the Tonight Show. But I'm not going to ask because what's, either they're going to say no. Right. So I went out there and my first joke was, I love Asian girls. That's why I got out of traffic school. And I could tell that Leno was like not happy with that. Right. And I was like, everything okay? And afterwards he was like, yeah, probably not be able to say that joke. So they lowered the word Asian on the broadcast. So all you heard was, I love girls. That's why it's okay to offend all women, just not Asian women.
That's hilarious.
I was sitting next to Bill Maher.
Oh, okay.
And Bill Maher, the first time, Bill Maher was like, they told me they were going to have cue cards for me, right? And I don't need cue cards. I knew my act, like, left, back of my hand, but I'm not going to say, no, I don't want cue cards, because I'm not going to just be... So they had cue cards for me, and Bill Maher is next to me going, cue cards? We never had cue cards. And I'm like, dude, I didn't want the cue cards. And he's like, Leno, do you ever have cue cards? I'm like, all right, dick. Like, I didn't. So then I was like, Bill, do you still love doing stand-up comedy? And he's like, yeah, it's a lot easier when you have your own jet. And I was like, I took an Uber X here. I didn't know what to say. And then there was a singer.
Oh, my God.
There was a hot singer there.
Okay.
I thought that once you're done talking, your mic is off. I didn't realize your mic was still hot.
Oh, shit.
I was singing, and I'm like, I go, Bill, that girl's pretty hot, huh? And then you over the speaker. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, my
like,
God.
Wait for me. Like, yeah. So
shit. Yeah, you know what? Just from listening to your podcast, anything and anything that can go wrong will go wrong, I've noticed in your career. But the thing is with you always bounce back and you're able to make an act out of it, and you do all kinds of cool... Like, for example, you got to travel all over the world. Like, places like Japan, Guam, Korea, Bahrain, Djibouti. I don't even know where the fuck that is. And
Africa.
And Guantanamo Bay, of all places, as well. Like, of all these places, what was your favorite? And did you ever feel, like, in danger where you're going to get, like, oh, I'm not going to get out of this place?
Well... When I was in Djibouti, Africa, I was with this comic that was like, he was a black comic that was really being a dick to me. Like he's been around forever and he wasn't very funny. This is back when George Bush was the president.
Oh, okay.
And go up there and he'd be like, fuck George Bush, he's a terrorist, like, to like the military. Like not the guys you want to open out. It's like, that's their commander-in-chief. Right. And we were just, I would say things like, yeah, I don't find Eddie Murphy's movies as funny as they used to be. And then he would like, just, fuck you gotta respect Eddie Murphy. He was just, anything I said, he was being a dick to. So then we went to Bahrain, and there was like a massage parlor. So we went in, and it was all transgenders.
Oh, wow.
He runs out and like closes the door, and I'm like, you got me. So then we ended up going to Djibouti, Africa, and he was in a bad mood because they told us like that everything was already paid. He didn't have, and then they tried to shake us down for more money to get into the country.
Oh, wow.
And 15-year-olds with like machine guns in this country. So I ended up paying for him to get in.
Right.
And then we get to he was in a bad mood because they lost his luggage. So he was fucking furious. So then we're backstage the first night doing like a meet and greet with the troops. And he was like, man, this guy, he banged all the transgenders and he's gay and this and that. And it was like 11 days of traveling in a row. I had enough, you know? So I took his hat and like smushed it over his head. Okay. I'm like, oh, I'm a bitch? Like, who's a bitch? And then he came at me, and I just like underhooked him, overhooked him, and just hip tossed him on his head. And it like hit all these like glass bottles that like broke. And then I just cocked back, and I'm like, who's gay? Who's gay now, motherfucker? Right. Probably not even. I shouldn't have said that. But then the troops had to like break us up. Yeah. So we're like the comedians just came in for like the night to, and fighting each other. So this sergeant took us. This guy, Sergeant Haggerty, took us in the back. Right. And like we were in this bathroom, and he's like, man, you're supposed to be here to raise our spirits, and you need to find Jesus. And then he goes, I'm either going to take your money, I'm going to do like I do with my boys. I'm going to take your money, or I'm going to punch you in the stomach. And I didn't really have any money, and neither did he. So the guy both in the stomach. Right. But it didn't really hurt, because I was so happy that I threw the other guy in his head. And I kind of deserved that. Right. But I remember myself, like, I'm in Djibouti, Africa, in a fucking closet, getting punched by Haggerty. Like, how many wrong turns did I make to get to this point in my life? Right. So at one point, the Guantanamo Bay was crazy. I was there with a bunch of comedians, Nima Williams, Rodney Perry, some good comics, and the Victoria's Secret models were with us. Oh. But, like, they were on their own separate thing, and Stephanie Powers was there, this, like, old school actress. So we're on, we're on, like, a ferry to get over to Cuba, and it was like Adriana Lima, Miller, Lita Eubanks, and it was like the top chicks. Right. So I was, but their spread had, so I was hitting on them because I'm like, what do I gotta lose? Like, true. You're like, hey, like I got turned down by a Victoria's Secret model, you know? Yep. And they appreciated the fact that I was the only one balls enough to talk to them because they were kind of like smiling. I don't think that I was like close to hooking up with them, but they were definitely like impressed by the balls I had, and they were, I was inviting them to the show, and it was going well. Okay. But then this other comic, Nima, he's like in the jail, he's a white guy, but he does mostly black rooms, and he went up to Salida, and he was like, well, first, all these troops were online to take a picture with Marissa Miller. Okay. And I was like, can I take a picture with you? And she's like, can you take a picture? She goes, okay. Then I gave her my camera, and I take a picture, my friend, like, and everyone. But then the other guy went and did the same thing to Salida Eubanks, and he was like, hey, I'm going to take a picture with you and cut out the mouth later and fuck it. Oh, and my God. She flipped on him, like, who the fuck you think you're talking to? He's like, fuck you. So now we were banned from talking to the models after that. Like, we were not allowed to talk to them. And I was so pissed because they were going to come to our show, and in my head I had this whole, like, they were going to see me and think I was funny and hate me, and I had this whole, but we, like, missed the flight, with the flight. So then they took us to where the prisoners were at. Oh, shit. And we got to see the prisoners. And it was right after all those things came out where people were getting tortured. Oh, wow. So they were really saying, like, yeah, they have 3 meals a day, and they get to, watch TV, and here's where they play soccer, and here's where they have therapists. And it made it was like, I'm like, can I live here too? That's how I was being a wise guy. I'm like, how much is the rent, But then when we saw the guys, oh my God, their beards were like 5 times the size of yours. Oh shit! They were looking like a pit bull being trapped, and they were yelling, "Help! Help! Help!" But half of them had like lawyers there. It was what the fuck? It was very trippy. That was a little bit like, I'm like, that guy doesn't seem like he's too happy. The guy yelling "help" on I know. But but they were saying that like a lot of them, they're stuck there because they got caught trying to murder troops And now if they go back, they're going to get murdered because their gang or whoever they were with is no longer in power.
Oh.
So they don't want to go back, but they don't want to, but then we can't keep them here forever. It's costing a fortune. So now they're in this, and then a lot of them, they went and they rehabilitated and did all this stuff brought them back, let them go, and then caught them again trying to murder us. So it was a mess. The whole thing was a mess.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta know. I know you're a married man and you're monogamous in your relationship and all that, but what has the best ladies? What country did you hook up with that had the craziest or the beautiful, whatever in your mind makes a perfect 10?
I mean, I hate to say it, but Canada usually has the coolest, hottest women. And I remember one time I had 2 ring girls, that met me at the show. Afterwards, like, I had a threesome, and like, I remember the girl blowing me and then going, "Welcome to Canada." And I was like, this is a pretty good, so I would say Canada. I mean,
oh wow.
I mean, the easiest place is probably sometimes New York, but only because all the tourists are there.
Right.
And they're there, and like, they're there on a vacation, and one of their goals is like hook up with a New Yorker, you know, like it's a fucking bucket list thing. But I mean, Canada's got some they're pretty chill. They don't have they're not too stuck up in Canada.
Well, again, you haven't been to Toronto, so just wait, my friend.
Yeah. I thought about Calgary and Edmonton.
Well, there's nothing really, I'm sorry to say, there's nothing to do out there. And you know how it is, being from LA. Whatever is a 10 out there is probably like a 6 in Toronto. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, Sam Tripoli had a great joke about that. How, like, you have all these angry, hot women in LA.
Right.
Because everybody was like a 10 in their hometown and they came to LA. He's like, it's if Superman went back to his own planet.
Right.
It wouldn't be Superman. He'd just be some dumb guy with a fucking cape. You know?
It's true. That's a good one. Oh my God. Okay, other than doing stand-up, you also do some acting, do some writing, and you also have an upcoming series, potentially, Pinned, that you've just finished. I guess you wrapped it up. It's all done. You're just in post, I guess, what they say.
Yeah, we're just in, we're literally, like, we have, like, 5 shots left. Not even, like, shots, just, like, 5, like, I need a picture, I need a shot of a house, or I need a shot of I need like a skyline, you know, like, not even, like, things I have to go out and, like, film an actual scene. I have, like, 5 shots just to grab, and then I'm just doing the music right now.
Okay.
And because, you know, it's hard because it's like you can't use things that have already out there because I think we're going to submit it to festivals and everything like that. And,
right.
You know, I mean, maybe you could, but we decided not to. And so scoring it is a whole separate thing, but we're almost done. And then it's just a matter of, like, I mean, you know, I crowdsourced it. So I tried to raise $500,000 for a movie, and I got to, like, 11 grand. And then, but I got like 400 people that donated.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but then people were like, "Where the fuck's my movie?" One guy was accusing me of like taking his money, going to buy or something, and I'm like, "Dude,
oh my God,
I'll give you your money back." I was like, "How much money did you donate?" I don't even have. My dad has the list. I'm like,
okay.
Tell me, I'll PayPal you whatever you. And he's like, "No, man, I want you to make the movie." So it was one of those things where I was. So I'm like, "What do I do?" And then people were like, I'm like, yeah, but, you know, the problem was, like, somebody in, you know, Kentucky gives you $100, and then you shoot 15, he's going to feel like he got robbed, he got ripped off. So I wanted to do a pilot, and I did. We shot a pilot, we did everything bare bones, I had to rewrite the script, and I had to, like, take out anything that would cost money really to shoot, and, like, figure out where we could use one location that equals 6 locations, and we shot at my house, which my wife almost left me, and we shot at the wrestling, at like my garage, converted to a wrestling room, and then at the pool that I coach at. So we had a couple free locations, which were good. Okay. And then, you know, I paid all the actors, but, you know, I paid them, you know, minimum, but they got paid. And then, now it's just a matter of, like, I'm going to take it and condense it into a sizzle and try to pitch it that way. Oh. But also I'm going to probably put it on YouTube and be like, hey, here's a 23-minute, you know, thing that you guys paid for. That way, you know, 'cause a lot of times it's like, you know, the thing with you do a Kickstarter, if you don't make your goals, you give the money back. Oh. It's great, but you kind of wasted everyone's time.
Right.
And Indiegogo, you get to keep the money minus like I think it's 10% or something. It goes to them.
Okay.
But then you're like, if you don't reach your goal, you're kind of stuck in a situation like, all right, what do I do? But I'm happy with it. Happy with the performances. Happy with like, you know, it was hard. Like we had like for one role, we had like 5 actors bail out the week of.
Oh shit.
And then people like, because I'm producing it, I had to know everyone's lines in some ways.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, so it's hard enough to like know my own lines, but now I have to make sure everyone's happy and keep everyone. But it was great. I think it's the funniest thing I've ever done, and I'm really really happy with it. And like my friend Joey Medina directed it. He's a great comic, and we had like Dean McDermott's in it, and Amy Paprath, who used to host Naked Dating. She was on E! This girl Lauren Compton, who was like the cover of Playboy. That's the one that pissed off my wife because she was my girlfriend in it. I didn't really say we were going to do the scene in my bed. I didn't tell my wife that, so I had to burn the sheets. But that's a whole other thing. And then Rob Belushi, who I actually went to high school with, who's son of James Belushi, Jim Belushi. And then he's a really good actor as well. He was actually on that wrestling team. And then my friend Aldo, who I coach with, Eve Edwards is in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a really, really fun. And then, like, the kids, like, half the kids that we cast are on my actual team. And then half the kids are just actors, which is actually another thing of having to control the kids that you coach. Right. I almost had to make push-ups on the set for, like, fucking around.
Right.
And then the other kids, or wrestle them. But the other kids are being wise guys. Hard for the other kids. The other kids were actually disciplined. My kids were just having fun the whole time, but you wanted them to have fun. So it was like,
that's true too. Oh shit, that's okay. Well, before we move on, what's the premise of Pin? Just so if people don't know,
like it's about a comic who's like stuck in his career, and his but he was a big high school wrestling star, and his high school wrestling star coach has cancer. So then he goes back and is convinced to coach the middle school team. He has to go back to his hometown, and then the guy that beat him is now coaching the rival school, and then the principal, who used to be the teacher, hates him, but the principal's daughter is super hot, and it's just like and then he's living with his grandma, who's like the horniest grandma in the history of the grandma. It's just, and then the kids are just a bunch of fucking lunatics, you know. So it's a lot of fun.
No, it sounds great. Oh my god, I can't wait to see it, and I'm sure it'll get picked up because this thing has morphed into so many things. But I think you found it what it wants to be, and now moving forward, I guess it's easier, like you said, to pitch it, right? Yeah,
and I'm just, you know, even if it goes nowhere, like there's really it's not a loss.
Right.
I'm happy I did it. You know, I'm happy that people will see it. You know, and I'm happy that people will see it, and you know, it'll be free. I'd almost rather people see it like this than, in some ways, like get picked up by some obscure thing that no one's ever going to see.
Makes
you know,
sense. Yep.
Because I've done a lot of things that, like, man, I had one TV show I sold to Fuel TV. We shot a pilot, and Fuel became Fox Sports 2. Then I had to wait a year to get it back. Then I revamped it, and I sold it to. I changed it around. I sold it to Esquire. Shot a pilot, and Esquire went under.
Wow.
And now I have the show back. It's like I've done a lot of things that were really cool that no one will ever see. But that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I could imagine how many projects are out there that don't see the day of light, right?
Yeah, I mean, and some of the funniest shit. I mean, I still think, like, we had Corey Holcomb. I don't know if you know Corey. He was, like, the most offensive black comedian, misogynistic. We had him at, like, an old age home.
Right.
Telling that he was, because it was, like, called kamikaze comedy, where we ambushed comedians, people with comics. Okay. And then he told these old people they were going to get a motivational speaker, and he was trying to pimp old ladies. And I still think that would have went completely viral.
Right.
But what are you going to do? You know, it's like, you just have to keep moving. I mean, look, like somebody, I remember, like last night, Dean Thomas hit me up, and he's like, why don't you have your own late night show yet? I'm like, bro, you know, yeah, I could be saying that, like, hey, you know, like, I used to tour with Theo Von, and now Theo Von's blown up, or I tour with this guy, and now this guy's broken up, or this guy used to open up for me, or this guy, and now, but the bottom line is, like, I do what I love.
Right.
I get to do what I love. I got a loving wife. I got a great kid, a loving family, and I got great friends. So I'm already in like the 1%. You know, it's
True.
just a matter of getting to that 1%. But if it never happens, like so what? Like, just because somebody has more commercial success than someone else doesn't mean that they're happier or even better.
You know what? That's totally true. And that's what I tell people all the time about even myself with this podcast. It's like, if you were to tell me 10 years ago that I would be talking to people in the UFC, headline comedians, people from WWE, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I grew up watching all that shit, right? So even if I don't succeed monetarily, I've succeeded, I guess, I don't know, spiritually or something, if that's the word.
You know how many people I know? I know so many people that I've toured with, and this and that. They got so much money and so much fame, but they're cheating on their wives. They're
Right.
fucking don't talk to their kids. They're just miserable fucks, and they're always looking at someone above them, going, "How come I'm not Joe Rogan? You know, or how come I'm not this?" So it's not like all you can do is control what you can control. You know.
What's up, people? The football season is back, and now you can get into the game with our exclusive sports betting partners at betonline.ag. Sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit and make your bets on your favorite professional or college team. Every spread, every total, every winner or loser, straight bet, parlay, or tease your way through the season. Will Mahomes throw over 56 touchdowns? Can the Pats go undefeated? Bet on all of this with the fastest odds updates and payouts with our new sportsbook partners, betonline.ag. Head over to betonline.ag or use your mobile device. Join today and use promo code CLNS50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus. Get into the action today with betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Check it out.
What's up, guys? 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. Well, there's good news. With today's advancements in science, Keeps offers proven treatments that can combat the system of hair loss. How great is that? They didn't have that when I was in my early 30s, okay? I was wearing hats, I was doing this, I was doing that, I was pushing my hair forward. Well, prevention is key, and Keeps treatments really work. They are up to 90% effective at reducing and stopping further hair loss. The sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. So act fast. Many men even experience hair regrowth with Keeps treatments. You can find out why Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. And nearly 100,000 men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention medication. Keeps treatments start at just $10 a month. That's not a lot, all right? That's what you want to spend to keep your hair, okay? That's awesome. Plus, for a limited time, you can get your first month free. Yes. How great is that? It's awesome, all right? So, you got to go to keeps.com/MMA Roasted, all right? If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/MMA Roasted to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's KEEPS.com/MMA Roasted, all right? Check it out.
Listen, people, I got to talk to you guys. It's always a huge pain in the ass for me to go to a store, figure out what to buy, and that's why the Menlo Club is so perfect for me. I never know what to wear. I don't know what to wear. I can't decide anything. I'm all over the place. But the Menlo Club sends me clothes perfect for any occasion. Yeah, you can go to, just for hanging out or date night or happy hour, family gatherings, whatever you need. Okay, the Menlo Club makes me look good and feel good, giving me the confidence to crush it. Crush it, okay? You got to check it out. The Menlo Club is a men's monthly and seasonal subscription that provides stylized packages for every man, featuring items from 5-4 everyday wear, New Republic footwear, and Grand AC athleisure wear, okay? All their items are designed by their in-house team in LA. You just complete a brief style quiz, and you get matched into a clothing profile that'll curate the apparel being sent to you. Yes, they'll personalize it just for you, all right? And their member experience team is available for help through live chat, through email, and phone. It's hassle-free. They don't have any styling fee like their competitors. You have free size exchanges, and you can cancel anytime, all right? So get your first monthly or seasonal package for $35 off using their promo code MMA Roasted. Yeah, use promo code MMA Roasted. Check it out. you get your first monthly or seasonal package for just $25. How cool is that? That's awesome. Menlo, the Menlo Club, it's the best out there, all right? So their website is themenlohouse.com, and you can follow them at Menlo Club. Definitely check them out. Highly recommend, and you guys are going to thank me for it. You're going to be like, Adam, I look so much better. I feel so much better. Thank you.
And speaking of that, the perfect segue, podcasting. That's you have full control. You don't, well, mind you, obviously you have sponsors to deal with, but at the same time, it's not like TV sponsors. So as long as you say what they want to hear, you're good, but they don't limit you to say anything. You have 2 podcasts right now. We'll get into MMA Roasted because there's a lot I want to touch on. But your most current and new podcast, Daddy Issues, with Dean McDermott and Nikki Paris. Okay, Daddy Issues. Is this okay? I haven't heard it yet. Is this like porn stars calling in, telling you about stories and stuff, or like what's going on here?
No,
what's the
premise?
premise?
That was it. No, I don't wish that, but that sounds like a cool, actually, premise. No, it's basically me and Dean became friends through comedy.
Okay.
And Dean's a really great guy, and he knew I was having a kid, so he gave me he's married to Tori Spelling,
Right.
and he's actually Canadian as well, Dean.
Yep.
And he gave me all these baby stuff. Like a crib and a carriage and a this and that, just all this shit. So he wanted to get into comedy, and I'm helping him with comedy, and then we should do a podcast. And Nikki, really funny gay comic, and he doesn't have he has daddy issues of his own, but so we started this podcast out of the Comedy Store, and it's going really good. I mean, we've interviewed Tori Spelling, we've interviewed Nikki. Russell Peters we had on. We had Glozell. We had Denise Richards on. We had Perez Hilton. And a lot of it is what we're doing, and then a lot of it is what they're doing. It's a crazy. We're getting so much traction just on Dean alone, because Dean will say something like, Tori Spelling was bejazzled or something. And next thing you know, it's on Us Weekly and TMZ. Right. I mean, you should see these headlines. Like Tori said, him and Dean said him and Tori, they have sex 5 times a day, and they use marijuana sex lube.
Oh, nice.
And that went crazy. So anything he says, and sometimes it's hard to not goad him into that, because it's like he said, Tori likes to dress up as Donna Martin, and they've had sex, and she's Donna Martin. It's insane. So they shipped the door open, and then that made the news. So we're beginning a lot of people just People Magazine covering us and stuff.
Okay.
But it's been a lot of fun. I mean, that's just the MMA Roasted I love doing, but it's just all MMA. And unless you're a kind of a hardcore MMA fan, it's you really don't. Especially some of the obscure fighters that I talk to. I try to get people that it's one thing to get the fighter that everybody's talking to, like Henry Cejudo or someone. But after a while, I'm sure as you know, it's pretty much the same answer to the same question.
Yep.
And they're kind of and you can just sort of tell that they're going into what they've answered for the 12th time that week. But
yeah,
sometimes I like getting that fighter that I had I had this girl Sheena Starr on last week. She was the girl in bare knuckle boxing that wore a Hillary Clinton is a cunt shirt during her fight.
Okay, yeah.
And her amateur record officially was 3-16. She was 0-4 as a pro. She races dirt trucks on her free time. She's got 4 parakeets, and as a single mother of 2. I love talking to people like that.
Right.
I'm what the fuck? But unless you're a hardcore MMA fan, you're why should I care about this?
Yeah, but you know what? I have to admit, even myself, I don't know everyone. Obviously, like you said, the named people, and I sort of know the low rung, but the just up and comers that have a fresh record, I don't know jack shit, because I don't follow any amateur. At least you follow some amateur, so you'll see the transition, and it's easier to follow for you. But just the way you don't ask the cookie cutter questions. You go off you're not fucking Ariel Helwani sitting there straight frowned and, okay, what's this? How did you train for your next fight? But if you ask those, you'll do it with a spin of did you, curl a dick or something to get bigger biceps? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and for the most part, it's been great like that, because I also, a lot of times people have been to my comedy shows, so they kind of know what they're getting into. The hard part is the few times that I've had people get mad were when Kat Zingano thought she was doing a regular interview, and I asked her she got like finger banged a lot in high school or something, and she just like flipped on me. And but then she came to my comedy show and told me that like no one had prepared her for the show. You know?
Okay, gotcha.
So, but that's few and far between. Most of the time, people realize like, you know, what's going on, or a lot of times they're the ones that like they get into like character mode, especially someone like Colby Covington who's like, yeah, I just banged 4 chicks today, and getting, you know. But those are fun, you know. Those are fun to me. It's hard it's hard because some of the guys that I like, a guy like Big Swingin' Johnson or something. Big Swingin' Johnson is the last name. Jordan Johnson, great guy, great fighter, but just sometimes it's hard to get like a fun interview out of them.
Right.
You know, it's easy. It's hard. I mean, it's one thing in person, but on the phone, it's even harder.
Right. And at least with you, people know who you are. Like, imagine with me, when you don't know who I am, you're sort of reserved. Like, for example, I had, what's his name? Leo Kunz on the show. And I've had him twice now already. Yeah, he's amazing. The first time you could tell he's a bit reserved. He didn't know where I was coming from. But then I had him on the second time. Oh, my God. He fucking opened up, and it was such a great show. Because I had him and Paddy Pimblett from England on, so they were both on at the same time. And it was such a great show. And I think the first one wasn't as great only because, again, maybe he didn't know who I was. Maybe he thought I was going to fuck him. Like, you never know, right? So that's the other thing you have to contend with when you talk to so-called strangers. Yeah,
of course. I mean, and then also a lot of times you'll talk to people, like, they'll forget they're doing an interview. Oh, shit. And then they do it, like, while they're, like, I had Wyman on while he was shopping for a car, you know? So, I mean, the craziest one I ever had, though, I don't think I'm ever going to beat this, was a kid from Finland.
Karakani.
What was the name of the guy from Finland?
Karakani.
Yeah, he got a blowjob during the interview.
That's my favorite episode still to this day.
That was crazy. And he really did, too. Like, you heard, I was like, oh, my God. Then the guy just, like, went MIA. I haven't seen him since. I don't know what happened to him.
I think he fought on a Europe card the other day, didn't he?
No, he did, but it's hard to, like, reach him.
Oh. Well,
I think he got media trained. It's better when they're not media trained.
Oh,
you know?
Right.
But the best guys to get are easier the guys that are brand new that like no one's talking to, because they'll tell you everything, or the guys that like the Kevin Randlemans or the Colemans,
right?
Like guys that Dan Severn, Don Fry, because no one's talking to them anymore, or a lot of people aren't. So they'll tell you everything. They have nothing to lose. They'll tell you who was on steroids and who's a piece of shit, and they don't care anymore. Like those guys are the best.
Well, it's true because they have nothing to lose, and they're at, I guess, the end of their career, so to speak. So yeah, why not? Still be relevant in some way or another. Oh, right. That's awesome. Okay, so you're into MMA. You've wrestled yourself as an amateur. Who's your favorite fighter of all time? I don't think I know this.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard. Probably Frankie Edgar.
Really? Okay.
I mean, just because he's just he's in every fight. Got a ton of heart. There's no quitting him.
Right.
He's great. I mean, but it's hard to separate sometimes, like whether I like the person and whether I like the fighter. Like John Jones, I'll watch John Jones fight every time because of his skill set. But as a person, I don't really like care for him that much, or no, I just don't. You know, just kind of certain choices. I'm like, damn, that's not really how I would have handled it.
Of course.
Yeah. But then there's like, yeah, I mean, then there's certain guys like a Diego Sanchez,
right,
where you know you're gonna get a good fight every time. Like that dude's not gonna, and he's gonna probably have the dumbest fight IQ out there, but he just doesn't care.
No. Always puts on a show, that's for sure. And another thing I wanted to know, have you ever had, you don't have to name names, obviously, I'm not here to break news or get fucking heat, but have you had anyone on that you've despised and you were not forced to talk, but you're like, oh, I'll have them on anyways?
I haven't had anyone on that I despise, no, but I've had guys that I've been like Crazy Horse, who changed his name to Felony.
I remember that one too. Oh no.
Something happened. Something gay. The word "gay" came up, and he's like, "Man, I hope gay people die."
Right.
And it was something where it was like, "Fuck," you know. Like I obviously don't have that take on things. I don't agree with this. I don't like what he's saying. At the same time, like I asked him to be on the show.
Right.
So, and also, like he's entitled to have his opinion. That's what this country's for. I'm not going to censor the guy's speech.
Right.
At the same time, people came at me going, how do you not how come you didn't jump on him? I'm like, well, the guy's name is Felony,
Right.
which he changed from Crazy Horse.
Wow.
So, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, what am I going to do? Like, it's going to... So those are the situations where I'm like, but also it's hard sometimes when you have guys that say things that you know they'll get a lot of clicks,
Right.
but you don't want to hurt their careers.
Oh, true.
So like even like there was a couple times where Matt Brown said some things. I was like, we like pulled that. Cowboy, we pulled it. And I didn't even tell him I was pulling it.
Right.
Because they probably wouldn't care, but I didn't want them to get in trouble.
Makes sense.
So and because they're doing me a solid by coming on.
Right.
So that was the hard part. But then also I'm like, well, I want the clicks. You know, so it's that's the hard part because if I was a real journalist, I would have kept it. But
Right.
I'm not a real journalist. Like
That's
I don't.
true.
I've never claimed to be a real journalist.
You know, I'm sort of the same way as I approach it the same way as you. To me, it's if the guest doesn't want it on, or if something said that it's out of line, or if they revealed something they were supposed to, and they tell me after, no questions asked, it's gone. I don't even fight it. I don't give two shits. That's not what the interview is about or the talk. But I've never on my own taken a chunk of a conversation out, unless obviously there's audio problems or something and you can't hear, then there's no point.
Yeah.
But if it's something like controversial, whatever, hey, that's, again, like you just said, it's not me, it's them talking. What am I supposed to say? Stop talking?
I know. I just, part of me was like, didn't want them to get in trouble in some ways. It was sort of a protection on their part. And
Yeah, I see.
But
that
also,
too.
but then I also go, well, I don't want the UFC then coming at me and saying like, you can't do this guy's podcast.
Oh, true.
So there's, I don't know. I mean, if I had, I wouldn't say integrity. So as like a friend, I was
Right.
being a nice guy. If I had journalistic integrity, I would have kept it. But you know, so it's like, but it's, you know, it's hard. I mean, also at the time I was at Fox Sports and they told me to pull it too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So is that where MMA Roasted got its start, with Fox Sports, or were you something before?
No, it's actually me and this guy Scott Epstein, who's a jiu-jitsu. He was like my jiu-jitsu coach, and I was a wrestling coach, and we decided to do a podcast together. And then we parted ways, and then I got picked up by Fox Sports, and they called me and they gave me like a 2 or 3 year deal as for a podcast and for those texts from Last Fight, those group text chats I was doing.
Right. Yeah.
But then the guy at Fox Sports who hired me left. The other guy left, and then the new guy was like, "Well, we can't do your podcast anymore. We can't pay you for it." And the text chat, they had me on salary to do those text chats.
Okay.
So like first it was every week, and I was getting paid every week whether I did them or not. But they're the ones who didn't want to do them. I was like, I'll put them out every week.
Sure.
So they wanted to do them twice a month, but they were paying me every week. Then they were like, "We're just going to pay you X amount of money for the," and like, no, like it would have, my salary would have went like to like a fifth of what it was.
Right.
So I actually walked from that deal, and people were like, "You're leaving us?" I'm like, "Yeah, like these things take a lot of time."
Right.
And if you're not going to pay me what the deal that you guys offered, then I'm not going to do it. You know, I mean, it's been hard. The MMA business of comedy has been like I wouldn't say I invented the genre, but I definitely like had my place in the genre.
Of course.
And it's hard because a lot of times people, they're like, "Oh, we want to do comedy. We want your brand. You know, we want your 78,000 followers to come over here." But then when I do it, they're like, "Oh, we don't want to offend anybody," or
What
"We
the
don't
fuck?
want anyone getting mad at us."
Okay.
Or, so they're like, we want your brand, but we want to take away 90% of the jokes in your brand.
Wow.
And then I put it out, and then the people are like, "How did you not see that joke?" Like, I'm like, "Well, I did, but they just took out the punchline." So like, and kept the setup.
Right.
So it's hard to find that balance of, yeah, if you want MMA Roasted and you want and like you want the comedy that comes along with it, then you have to trust the fact that this is going to be funny, you know, and then trust the fact that like there's a line. I know the line, but you know, it's like you can't keep moving the goalpost.
Thank you. Right. Because it's not fair to you guys as entertainers, because then even, I'm not to say that you guys recycle material, but even older material after makes no sense. And then you look back like, what the fuck was I trying to accomplish there, right? And I guess it would be a mind fuck for you guys, because it's such a fast moving ball. Like every day, it's a new thing you can't make fun of. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it's recently, like, I was doing one where I was like, Diego Sanchez has been undefeated since a divorce or something. And then I had Travis Brown come in and say, oh, Ronda, it's over. Like, it was something where, like, doing a text chat, and that was it. And they were like, the company I was working for said, oh, we can't mention Diego's divorce. It's too personal.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, this is public knowledge, you know? So it was like, it was that kind of thing where it was like, or I had like someone say, like Rogan say, yeah, this girl's a stone cold killer, like Amanda Nunez, and OJ Simpson was like, oh, does she need any help? And then they were like, oh, we can't make any OJ jokes. It was like, all right, you know, just
my God,
like you can't have like the whole world making jokes about one thing, and then you say you're not allowed to.
Right.
It's like you're tying my hands behind my back and throwing me out in the ring. So it's but it's okay. I mean, the good thing about that's the one thing I love about stand-up comedy and my podcast is that there's nothing I really can't say.
That's true.
You know, it's up to the audience to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once in a while, I'll have people walk out and be like, "Oh, that was too much," but it's really like me and the audience. Like that's the pure thing. That's why I loved wrestling, because you know when I played for other sports, it was like, "Oh, this kid's dad's the coach, and he started his son," and it was like a lot of political bullshit and, on a soccer team, and I wouldn't play. I wasn't very good. I shouldn't have played, but at least there was other reasons, excuses. Where wrestling is like, if I beat everyone in my weight class, I was the starter.
Right.
And if I wrestled the kid and I won, like I won. Maybe once in a while you get a bad call on a ref, but even that shouldn't have been that, you know. And stand-up comedy, like I go on stage, and if I make a joke and they laugh, you can't deny the fact that they were laughing.
Right.
So those are the two really, really pure mediums that I'm involved in. But everything outside that is, I would say it's bullshit, but it's a lot of like, oh, he got that because, you know, his agent represents, you know, Dane Cook, and they want Dane Cook to do the festival, so they're going to bring that kid too. It's just a lot of other type of shit that goes on. But that's, you know, look, as long as you keep doing a good job making the crowd laugh, normally the club will book you back. Unless you're a complete asshole of somebody, or you piss somebody off, or you fucked a chick in the condo or something, or whatever you shouldn't have done otherwise. But you do a good job, they laugh, people say I had a great time, you're getting booked back. You know, and same with wrestling. Yeah. You know, it's just hard. It's hard to find things in life that are that pure.
It's true, like where it's all solely on you and yourself. You're not relying on other people. No, I get it. I totally get it. Okay, one more thing about MMA Roasted. You have like a rotating door of crazy fucking co-hosts. Like some that come to mind, like Greg Wilson is awesome, obviously. Renato too, Laranja. CB Gold, even though I haven't heard him in a while, he was great when he was on. Okay, and please, the Ween Dog. I have to know. Is that really him? Is that the Ween Dog in real life? Or again, is he putting on an act for the show? Because hearing his sexcapades every week and what he goes through, like, who is really that type of person? Like, come on, man.
Look, as far as I know, everything he says is true.
Okay.
I don't know because I'm not there to see if
he's
holding a knife to some girl's head while having sex with her. Or he's got a BB gun underneath his bed. Like when you hang out with him, he's super quiet.
Oh.
And like very, very polite.
Okay.
And just a nice kid.
Right.
Like, but you don't know what's going on in his mind. So.
Okay.
But he also though gets comedy, and he listens to a lot of podcasts.
Oh. Okay.
So the Ween Dog actually is as valuable as he is as my sound guy, because he's like, without him, I don't even know what he just does stuff. He's just amazing at that. He's a very loyal kid.
Right.
He's also like, if there's like a lull in the show, he'll just say something like, you know, like, hey, last night I fucked a rabbit or something, you know, whatever he'll say, and you're like, what? Like, so he kind of guessed that. He's really good at picking low points and just saying the most shit that you're just like. So I don't know if he's doing that because he knows that we're gonna have to, you know, but Like, I really do think he thought it was a good idea to get an ice cream truck and interview kids at a school and put it on YouTube.
I couldn't stop laughing at that one. Like, who comes up with this? Like, literally, like, does he not know he's going to get in shit for that? Like, that's what I mean. Oh, man, you got to love him. But no, he's awesome. He had so much, again, if you were a color commentary team, he would be strictly just a color of the whole show, man.
Oh, he's unbelievable. That thing is like, the thing was, he started off as just a sound guy, and then we started talking. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, where do you find these people? Like, CB Gold found me. He came up to me, he came to like 5 of my shows, and then he told me like every fighter. And then when I saw his 5 McGregor tattoos, I was like, all right, we got to get this guy, you know. But he was like the crazy one before Ween Dog came in.
Yeah, that's true. And now he's like a normal one.
Yeah, right. No, totally. Like, that's what Greg Wilson was like. Where do you find these? He's like, these guys like slither up from the the potholes in the ground. Like, hey, I know everything about MMA. And then you're like, join the podcast.
Oh shit, that's hilarious. Okay, before we get into the dumbass of the week and wrap this shit up, because I know you're a busy guy. I'm always interested too, from one stutterer to another, as an entertainer. How do you deal with it? What's your secrets? What gets you by it? Do you find, okay, like myself, I know when I'm about to stutter, so I literally stop myself midway. Do you care anymore? Like, what's going on with all this thing?
When I listen back, I'm like, ugh, you know, like in the moment, it's okay. It's hard because sometimes, like last night I had a show for a speech pathologist convention.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, I couldn't even say pathologist. I'm like, I need to join you guys. So, I mean, when I was younger and I would get nervous, it was really bad. Like, there was a girl I liked, it was terrible. I became a completely, now, and then also, I would start sentences, realize I would get to a word that I couldn't really say, and just divert to a different, I would just change the sentence around.
That's what I do.
You know, which is not very good, because, and then also, in my family, if you didn't talk really fast, you were not going to get heard, because you're going to get interrupted every third word by somebody, even now, to the point where you can't get a thought out without someone interrupting you, and then you have to explain, and then you're getting mad and being like, just fucking listen. Right. So, it's better now. It's easier when I'm on stage. It's hard when I'm improvising sometimes, because I'll be on a roll, and then I'll get to a word, and I'm like, ugh. And then, a lot of times, I'll think of the word, and then the word then becomes the stuttering part. So now I'm already locked into the stutter, and not what I'm trying to say. That being said, yeah, it's definitely held me back from acting jobs, hosting jobs, comedy jobs. I've taken so many speech lessons. When I actually took them, it got so much better. Oh, okay. But then I would stop, you know, sometimes, and just, you know, life caught up to me. Of course. It's actually easier when I have a kid, because my daughter, I'm like teaching her words and you know what's actually helped me the most? Not really stuttering, but like slurring, is there's an app called Headliner. Oh, okay. And the app, it transcribes whatever you're trying to say for you. So you put a video in, and it does it for you. Now, I know that there are some words it's not going to be able to read. Okay. So my sentences come out crazy, so then I have to redo them. But if I talk at the rate that I know that it's going to actually make sense, is when that's the rate I should be talking at. Right. So I have to like talk as if I'm transcoding myself on Headliner. But it's I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I definitely wish I did not stutter, but it used to be a lot worse. Oh, okay. It used to be like I couldn't get a sentence out without stuttering.
Oh, you were that bad. See, I wasn't really that bad. I found, again, same thing as you. When I would get nervous, I'd start stuttering, and it was certain words, and I would do like the like that's as far as I would go, and then it would come out. I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't be able to not pronounce a word, or I stop mid-word because I can't say the rest of it. And obviously, by listening to the show, all the viewers know already how I am. But to me, what really helps a lot, believe it or not, is smoking weed and CBD. That helps the most. I find that as soon as I smoke a joint, it's like as if I don't stutter at all. At all. Like, it's one of those things that just goes away. That's why I was interested to know what you do to, I guess, when you're on stage and whatever.
I think working out helps a lot, tiring my body out.
Oh, okay.
You know, if I'm like even when I do comedy, if I don't work out during the day,
Right.
like my set is way too fast, and a lot of times I'll be on stage and the audience isn't laughing because they didn't understand what I said.
Oh,
Not
shit.
because the joke isn't funny.
Right.
And I'm like, ugh. That's frustrating too, because you did all that work and you just mumbled those words. But it's gotten better. Definitely, it's not perfect. I think that if I ever get like my own late night talk show, that would be a huge obstacle.
Oh.
But I have to deal with it. You know, it's like that's part of life. And this is the career that I chose. I think if I would have chose a career that didn't have to do with talking, I probably would have made a lot more money at this rate. But I wouldn't be as fun. I wouldn't have
That's happy.
banked I did. And I remember when I was younger, when I was like in 5th grade, I went to summer camp, and this hot girl liked me. She was like smoking hot.
Okay.
And then once I started talking, it was over. So and my friend told me that. He's like, dude, you would have banged her if you hadn't stopped talking, if you hadn't talked. I don't think banged her. I would have hooked up with her. So, yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, and again, I find it odd that you are the opposite. If I have something written down and I have to read it word for word, that's when I start stuttering. To me, I'm better off the cuff. Like just even when I do like these talks when I have on the podcast with people, everything's in point form, just so I know when to go on to what next. But it's not like a detailed. Oh, I want to talk about this, that. Just whatever it goes into, and I find that that's a lot easier for me at least because I'm not overthinking. I guess like that. All right, let's go into the dumbass of the week. Let's see if we both agree if this person's a dumbass or not. Usually they're always from the States, and usually they're always from Florida. Again, being an American, I'm sure you know most of the dumbasses come from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. So, one thing I've noticed here in LA, and let's see if you are a part of this as well. Every time I go to a restaurant or being in a hotel and I use a public washroom, no one fucking washes their hands in LA. What's wrong with you guys?
I don't know. Yeah, people in LA are crazy. They're crazy.
I don't get it. Like everyone in Canada, in Toronto, well, at least in Toronto, when you use the washroom, anywhere you go, there's always people washing their hands. Here, nothing. They literally take a piss
but
and
then
leave.
they won't drink tap water.
Are you kidding me?
It has to be bottled water, but then they won't wash their hands. It's crazy.
All right. Well, this has to do with a toilet incident. Have you ever been to a friend's house and you forget to flush a toilet?
I never forgot, but I've broken some toilets before.
Okay, I've broken toilet, but that's not really your fault unless you're shoving shit down it. You know what I mean?
Right, of course.
Because it's just the look at the draw. Has anyone ever been to your house and not flushed? How about that?
No, but no, I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe you won't know what's going on in this man's head. But anyways, so two guys, friends, one guy goes to his house, uses the toilet, forgets to flush. So the owner of the house starts yelling at him, which is understandable. Like, what the fuck? He forgot to flush the toilet. What does one of his best friends do? Goes to his car, pulls out a machete, and threatens to kill him. Now, is he a dumbass?
Yes, of course he is a dumbass. That's not, over that? Yes, he's beyond a dumbass. Now he's going to go to jail? He's getting charged for that?
Yeah, and he actually he's still in jail to this day and waiting to be released on bond.
Oh my God. Wow. That's next level. My wife, when she doesn't, when she takes a dump, she puts the faucet on so I won't hear her.
Okay.
I wish she would just close the door.
What the It's true. Why not? Oh, okay, I was going to say, what the hell?
Just joking.
No, that's a good one.
But yeah, that guy's a complete dumbass. Because now he's in jail I guarantee he's not threatening people to not plug the toilet. So.
But again, this goes back to how sensitive people are. Like, literally, you did something wrong, and this is today's society. You're the one in fault, but yet you still think you're right, and you think that you should retaliate because this man pointed it out to you. Like, that, everyone's feelings get hurt.
I have a feeling that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think that was the starting off point. I think there was some fucking guy's wives or some shit went down before that. That's just that's just what they tell you. I wonder what actually happened. You know?
I know, right?
But it also might be funny to in court to have bring in the exhibit A, like the fucking shit in there and show everybody.
Well, here's the perfect ending to the story. When the police approached him and asked him why he did it, you know what his response was? This is classic. This guy will probably want to be a comedian. He tells the cops... Sorry?
What shit happens?
Thank you. Exactly. See, you think like a comedian. That's exactly what he told the cops. Shit happens.
Oh, God. That's ridiculous.
Maybe you wanted to go viral.
Yeah, probably he did.
Oh, shit. All right, Adam. Actually, one last thing before you plug your shit. I always lie. I always have one last question hidden.
Sure.
I need you to do this for me, my friend, please. Roast me, say something about me. I have to get roasted by the master himself. Anything is on the table, I don't give two fucks. Go right ahead.
I mean, you definitely look like you're an extra from a Al Jazeera training video.
My God. And that's what I love. And then again, have you ever roasted someone where it got so pissed off that you thought they were going to knock you the fuck out?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Wow.
Like, at that wedding when the guy attacked me, if you look up comedian attacked at wedding on YouTube, some guy they hired me to roast. They hired me to go to this wedding and start roasting people.
Right.
And pretend the guy marrying them, and then break out my comedy routine. And there was a guy in the front who had like highlights, and I was like, sorry, your band broke up. Or I called him, like, something like, Bon Jovi's, Neanderthal brother or something. The guy got up and like pushed me. And this is like during a wedding.
What?
And they stormed out, and I was like, don't stop believing. And then it went viral. It got like 500,000 hits. It's been on like 10 different TV shows, like World's Worst Weddings and When Weddings Gone Bad and all that stuff.
Oh my God, I'll be checking that out as soon as we get off the air, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, on that note, plug away, my friend, where people can find you.
Daddy Issues Podcast, MMA Roasted Podcast. I'm going to be at the House of Comedy in Phoenix in the middle of September. October, I'm in Myrtle Beach at the Carolina Comedy Club, beginning of October. I'm also going to be at Tiff's Comedy Club in New Jersey in October. Just go to adamhunter.com to see my whole schedule.
And for myself, you can follow me Instagram, Twitter, under Finger Styles. The podcast DAP. And email us your thoughts, suggestions, comments, anything you want to get off your chest at thepodcastdap@gmail.com. Rewind to the top of the show, listen to the sponsors, support them, helps them out, helps me out, and please rate, subscribe, and review on all the major platforms, but especially iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Those are the two big ones. That's what helps all us, I guess, independent podcasters out. All good, my friend?
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon, Steve.
Sounds good. On that note, he's Adam. I'm Steve. This is the podcast. Peace.
Түүний сонсдог хөгжим дур булаан. Даадаш дуулан дур булаа мууруулаа.